Hey, what's up people? In today's video I want to talk about the Spyderco Yojumbo, not Yojimbo, Yojumbo. Yeah, the bigger version of the Yojimbo basically. MacLeod design, super interesting looking, unusual looking, very unique Spyderco. Not a sprint run in production currently at least. And I was always thinking when I saw the Yojimbo, hey, it would be nice if they would make a bigger version of it, and they finally did. And this is actually 4 inches, 10 centimeters of Wharncliffe madness here, DLC coated, super cool. This is also my first knife that is completely, my first knife from Spyderco at least, that is completely blacked out. I think, was this the first knife Spyderco ever did the black liners on? I don't know. I really don't care that much also. I think it would be fine with stainless liners, but yeah, it's kind of cool also at the same time. Yeah, what is the Yojumbo? It's a completely straight edge, as all Wharncliffes are, and comes to this very fine point. The grind only runs up to here, so this section right here is super strong, also quite thick. It looks like a 3.5 millimeter spine to me, not sure. And from here on it's super thin and pointy. And I mean, it's really thin down to point. And the section in between is hollow ground. Let's see, maybe I can I show you the hollow grind? I'm not sure if you can see it. You probably can't see this. It is a nice deep hollow grind actually. It's not too bad. It only runs up that high, but the thinness of the hollow grind kind of yeah, it kind of helps with the slicing capabilities, because if that would be a flat ground blade it wouldn't be as slicey. with that low of a grind. But with the hollow grind, it's really not a big deal. It is slicey. It is surprisingly good cutting if you do actually use this for work. I mean, I'm gonna be honest right away. This is a purely designed as a tactical knife, but you can use it as a work knife as well. I like that crossover, tactical and work knives. If the knife can do both, I think that's really good. You mainly gonna cut with the tip of the knife because there is this ramp, and so you're not gonna get the full cutting edge on, like, let's say a board. You're mainly gonna use the tip. So the tip is what this knife is all about. And Wharncliffes, I think, are a lot about the tip. So it is a really penetrating tip. Wharncliffes always are. This is a nasty cutter. If you would use this in like a self-defense situation, this cuts really effectively. I did some comparison tests, not on video sadly, but where I cut the old boxing bag up and used a ton of different martial arts knives, tactical knives that are made for, you know, this kind of stuff. And this is probably one of the best knives from all of them that I tested. It is really deeply penetrating with that tip. It is really nasty. You can see there is this thumb ramp right here to this section. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think this knife is intended to be used with the thumb on the spine. A lot of tactical martial arts instructors, they say, okay, don't put your thumb up here, it will be cut. I don't know, I think Michael Yannick is one of those guys that says, put your thumb up here, you can control the tip better. And this knife really controls well through the spine. So you kind of steer the knife and you push it from here, and that tip gets translated to the tip really quickly. So it is a knife that you control with your thumb quite a bit. And then as you can see on the handle is also quite unusual. The entire knife is very, you know, not your average knife. Here's this ramp, and that suggests that you put your knife, your hand up here like so. So this knife really wants to be held in a saber grip. I think it feels perfect in that grip. And then you got 2 fingers here and 2 fingers here. You have that peak in the middle. The liners, I'm not sure if you can see that because everything is so dark from the blacked out liners, but the liners don't run all the way up to the peak. So they're a little bit lower, up to like here. So some people Dremel away that peak so they have one continuous curve. And that probably helps if you do not have the hand size that fits this knife perfectly. And I'm gonna tell you right away, this is a really cramped up grip on that knife. I have small hands and it really feels tight to me as well. So I understand why some people knock that down a little bit. So they have more room basically. They create more room in here. And yeah, I think like in tactical knives it's kind of difficult because if you look at like medieval stuff and everything, people would make shorter handles and have the tip, have the grip really tightly because they do not want the knife to slip back and forth. And I think the same mindset is going on here. I know people might probably were smaller in the Middle Ages. They might have small hands and all that stuff, but they also would wear gauntlets. So I kind of think it evens out. So yeah, I think in a lot of traditionally tactical knives, you see that knives have a very tight grip, and this is one of them. Not a traditional knife, but one of those knives that has a tight grip. And your pinky ends up right here. This section basically, it's basically not meant for you to be used, I think, because it doesn't feel right in this grip. So this section is basically useless. It's just there to have this supportive line for your palm to rest on. So you don't need this, you just need it right here. And yeah, all of that is combined with peel ply G10 that is really grippy. I did sand it down underneath the clip because it would shred through my pants with such ease that I can't buy new pants every other month. So yeah, I did sand it down with some sandpaper. And Yeah, the knife is relatively slim and it runs on the compression lock. I talked about the compression lock a lot in my, was it my last video? I think it was my last video, or whatever, the military video anyways. But I talked about the compression lock not being really comfortable because of that peak that is generated by it. And yeah, it's right. If you hold this knife in a hammer grip or try to use it in a hammer grip, it's really getting uncomfortable really quickly. But as long as you're using it in a saber grip and as long as you are not pushing this knife too hard, it's fine. It's not the most uncomfortable knife. It is just very unusual. You have to get used to that being really tight here and then controlling the knife via your thumb. You may not be used to it, but it is, yeah, you get used to it relatively quickly, I would say. It's not too bad. It is a wide profile for a pocket knife. Let's see, there's a Spyderco Endura. So you can see it's a little bit wider than that. And here is a Cold Steel Recon 1. It's about the wideness of a Recon 1. And it's also, it is slimmer though, but it's also the same weight as a Recon 1. It's 148 grams, 5.2 ounces. Here is it next to those two knives, opened up. Yeah, I think this is over 200 now. I'm not sure. You could make the argument that if you want to have a budget tactical Wharncliffe knife, you can buy the Endura and the Wharncliffe blade for less than half the money, and you can even choose serrated or non-serrated and have probably a very similar performing, not quite, but very similar performing tactical knife, I think. And for what, 100 grams, for really quite a drop in weight too. So that would be my suggestion. If you don't want to afford a Yojumbo, you could buy the Endura and Wharncliffe, have it much cheaper. It's also lighter. You don't care as much what happens to it. Yeah, this is a little bit more up in price, but also up in quality, I would say. This is like, I think this has a better build quality than my Spyderco PM2, although my PM2 is a little bit older. But yeah, I think this is really, the build quality is really up there. Everything feels really nice and tight on this knife. Yeah, the DLC coating is done really well on this, and it is a weird knife. It is unusual, it's different. I'm not sure if I would use it as a daily EDC knife. You could. You got S30B steel on there, so if you are a little bit rough on this knife, you need to be careful because that steel will chip on you a little bit easier. But the pro side on that it is S30B, is that you can cut a lot of boxes with it and still have a very sharp knife for you being able to defend yourself. And I think purely from the geometry as well, because that point up here is so thin and narrow, that front section, with what you actually do the cutting with. It doesn't matter, the knife is gonna cut from pure geometry as well, not just from the sharpness. So yeah, I think it is a very unusual but very well executed knife. It's very devastating in a tactical sense. It might not be worth it in a sense of you're just buying this as a tactical knife. This is really if you want to have a little bit more quality. Yeah, what do I think of it? I think it's a really great knife. Do you need to have this? Absolutely not. Like I said, there are other options for you if you're just looking for a tactical knife. I kind of really enjoyed carrying it though. The last couple days I had this with me and I felt very confident that I could tackle any EDC task that would come around, and it performed really well. It performed even better than I thought because the deep hollow grind really helped it. I thought there was a lot more binding here at the shoulders, but this knife sailed through cardboard with ease, so yeah, no issues on that. S30B is not my my perfect or ideal choice for this knife. I would opt for a little bit more stable steel, but that's what they chose, and I think it's okay. It's not terrible. Yeah, the Spyderco Yojumbo, the big Yojimbo. Oh, if you're looking for a more EDC knife, I think the Yojimbo might be the better option for you if you're choosing between both of these. I never had a Yojimbo, but I would argue that it's probably it favors the EDC tasks a little bit better, and this is more of your EDC but also devastating tactical knife. Yeah, that's what this is. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. This was the Spyderco Yojumbo, and maybe we see each other in another video. Goodbye, people.